Good morning. Happy Monday. Hey, friends, how are you? Okay, the subject today is mental toughness. Remember, we said that mental toughness is the ability to control our mind as we work through difficult situations. Every day our mental toughness is tested. Just when I was working on the notes for this video and to share with you a little bit on mental toughness, an issue came up that I had to deal with, an issue that wasn't planned. So I was thinking through in preparation, going over the conversations I had last week with everyone and just thinking through, okay, what's the 1, 2, 3 that I can share with you guys that's going to help you develop your mental toughness. And I was thinking back over the conversations. They were broad last week. It was everything from business to finance to relationships to fears. And I was all ready to talk about it and I was getting organized when an issue out of the blue came up and all of a sudden took my time. And I'm not proud to say that the first thing I did is like, really? Oh, blank. Great, just what I needed today because I don't have time for this. And so, that's our first step that we normally do is we have that emotional reaction. And the good news is nobody was with me, so nobody saw it. And that I've learned over the years, I feel like I've developed my mental toughness. So it was very short. I mean, it was literally just, that amount of time. And then what I said to myself is, okay, next thing I have to think about is, what am I going to take off of my to-do list today so that I'll have time to take care of this issue? Sometimes when you have, a problem or an obstacle where you're dealing with someone else or it's something that's urgent and has to be taken care of, then it changes what you're trying to get done for the day. But what we don't want it to do is shut us down for the day. We don't want to lose precious time. And so that's what I want to talk with you about, kind of how I work through that mentally in my mind. And since it's so fresh, this will be so easy. Now, this is not a video on problem solving, so I'm not going to talk about how to problem solve. Maybe we'll do that another time. But I do want to share with you one tip that is a pet peeve of mine, and that is if you're working through a problem or you're mentoring or you're leading someone and you you have an issue that you're having to deal with another person and they've sent you information, a text, an email, a call, and they're waiting on your response and you receive it, the first thing you're going to do is read it and see, okay, what's the issue? Does it need to be dealt with right this minute, or can it take a little bit of time? And as soon as you process that and then you need to get back in touch with the person and acknowledge that you're aware of the issue, okay? And so, what you might tell them is, I received the information. I don't have an answer for you at this time, but here's what I'm going to do, and maybe share the next step. So often as I was leading customer care teams or even sales organizations, and we were problem solving, I would ask them, did you talk with them, the person involved, and tell them that you're on top of it, that you're working? Did you share with them next steps? And more times than not, they would have to admit, in fact, they hadn't even responded yet to the person. So often we feel like we have to fix the problem before we respond, but the professional thing to do is to acknowledge receipt of the issue and tell them you're on top of it. And ideally, if you can give them a time frame, I'll get back with you in 24 hours, or if you can tell them next steps, that's always great. But again, what I want to talk about is, you kind of think through the problem. That's what happened to me this morning. And then I knew I needed to get back to them to let them know, okay, here's next steps. And then what I wanted to share with you is, well, what's the mental toughness of that? When your day is, rocked a bit and, you don't get to do exactly what you want to do, then how are you going to develop that mental toughness? So the most important thing is to develop over time that emotional maturity where you can take the emotion out of the situation. And for me, that's usually hard. I mean, I've definitely had the experience, and I would say that, I'm experienced and pretty mentally tough. I don't know if I'm a master at it, but I'm pretty darn good at it. But my first reaction is always a feeling because I'm a feeling person. So I know the process, I know the steps. So as soon as I get through that emotion, the next thing I want to do is get to, okay, what can I do? Because this is not going away, and I don't want to spend time worrying. I don't want to lose hours on this unnecessarily. I want to take my time and think about what I can do. And that's the really cool thing about our minds is we can only hold one thought in our mind at a time. So if you're worrying or negative or fearful, then you don't allow the thoughts to come in for solutions, for forward thinking, for positive, for reinforcing. And so get through the issue as quickly as you can, and then make a plan and decide what your next steps are. And each day as we deal with issues, they could be small issues that are common things you're having to deal with, something with the kids, something, with work, and you're used to that, you can navigate it. Those are pretty easy. We can kind of do those on autopilot. But what about the big issues, the issues that, are looming, the ones that just emotionally, wrap themselves around you? How do you develop mental toughness so that you can keep going? And I'll tell you why this is so important is as a CEO of your own business, as an entrepreneur, no one is looking over you and giving you deadlines and timelines. And yet it is so important that you move your business forward every day. And so these tips will help you compartmentalize. Go ahead and acknowledge what's going on, put your plan together, and then try to move that negative or the issue or whatever over to solution thinking or positive thinking so that you feel better and so that you're not losing time or giving away, letting something else steal your time or even worse, your joy. And so I just think that's something that you'll develop over time. It's like flexing your muscles. You'll develop it if you do the process. As soon as I catch myself reacting, I finish that thought, and then I say, okay, what am I going to do next? I mean, it just happened to me a couple of days ago. I took some rejection. So the first thing I said is, okay, I'm no good at that. I mean, that was my response. And then I said, stop it. Okay, I need to call 10 more people. So, it was just that moment, and then I was on to the next thing. And so I think this is important. Mental toughness for entrepreneurs is so important because so often it's me, myself, and I dealing with it. We've got to really work through, all these issues. And I think that's where, I have a lot of experience and have definitely developed some strength there. So, as you just think back to, being productive each day and not losing a day when you get these disruptions that are really bigger issues you have to deal with, remember, you probably didn't get there overnight, and you're probably not going to work yourself right out of it overnight. And so ask yourself, how much time do you want to give away to this? And if you've put together if you've put together a plan that deals with the issues, set that aside and go back to your agenda for the day. Go back to the things that are going to help you move your business forward. And they're just a few things, right? So you need to do the things that get you back in front of a client, help you build your team, help you get more sales. If it's a really tough situation and, you can't work yourself out of it, then know something that helps you. Like, do you take a walk? Can you go get a drink of water? Can you pick up the phone and call someone? And what you don't want to do is call someone and rehash the problem, right? That's a tendency that I'm trying to work out of, is every problem I have having to talk it through with someone. Because then that double relives the issue. It wastes your time, And unless that person's going to have a solution, you're not moving your business forward. So for me, when it's really bad, like when I'm like, I just can't shake it, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's usually personal. It's usually something, to deal with people and I can't control it, is the hardest for me. Then I know that night is going to be an action movie. There's going to be guns and car chases. It's got to be something that keeps my mind totally off of the issue if there's nothing else I can do, because worrying doesn't solve anything. Staying in fear doesn't correct a problem. And for me to just have another conversation or talk about it doesn't work as well. So I usually use third-party intervention for that. So the main thing that I really want to share about mental toughness is you get better with it the more issues you have to deal with. And I know some of us, our natural response is just, you throw up your hands and you say, I can't deal with this. I can't do this. Right? That's a trained response, just like my negative response that I shared earlier. So shut it down and then move over, let your mind breathe and start putting solutions together. And I'll tell you, you're going to build some incredible strength. You're going to have so many more good days than bad days. You're going to be so much more productive, and you're going to realize that that's just part of the process, part of you growing as a business person. So think about this week, and I hope it helps you.